Hi, I'm Jonathan McDonald from Province Sports, joined by longtime sports columnist Tony Gallagher. Tony, usually it's people in Toronto talking about what's going on in Vancouver.
Endlessly.
Let's flip the tables on them. Let's be the guys in Vancouver talking about Toronto. What is going on with the Maple Leafs?
Well, you look at that situation, and it seems to me, I got a column up on our website now about, everybody's blaming Phil Kessel. This guy's one of the top producers in the league. I think he's 9th in scoring as we speak. He was 8th in goal scoring, and yet he's the problem. Kessel's difficulty is that he's a streaky player. He goes in fits and starts. He's either red hot or he's a little bit cold. A lot of guys play that way, but when he's hot, he carries your entire team. What they need is some supplementary players to carry them when he's not going. I mean, there are tons of great streaky players in the league that make great contributions to their team. Not everybody can be Mr. Consistency every night. He's one of those guys. Other teams would love to have him, so the blame all going on to Phil Kessel is really laughable. The problem is obviously their ownership. They keep messing things up. I mean, when they appointed Shanahan, they had Nonis underneath him. Isn't it traditional to bring in your top guy, let him hire a general manager, the way Trevor Linden hired one here, and then the general manager appoints the coach? It's not the way they do it in Toronto.
All right, well, speaking of laughable, Roberto Luongo made a comment about how, had he played the Heritage Classic last March at BC Place, he might well still be a Vancouver Canuck. Like I said, is that a laughable comment?
Well, it's there might not have been the immediate pressure or his immediate demand to get me out of here, but I don't think it would have changed things. What you're looking at is a 2-year request for him to go to Florida, which he made perfectly clear. And, obviously he hamstrung Mike Gillis completely, because for the first 18 months of that demand, the Florida ownership had zero money, and they couldn't possibly afford his contract. And, what Mike used to say to me off the record when he had the job, and, he doesn't talk, but he said that Roberto's the only guy that doesn't seem to be aware of the fact that they have no money. So the last 6 months, when the new ownership got into Florida and things opened up a little bit, those prospects opened up, and everyone dumps on that trade and says, well, the Canucks had to go out and get Ryan Miller. But where would they be right now without Bo Horvat, that they did for the Schneider deal, and kept Luongo? Eventually they moved Luongo thinking that Eddie Lack would take the job. Lack wasn't good enough for the new regime, but it's abundantly clear it wasn't going to work long-term here with Luongo. He did some great things. He got them to lofty positions. He backstopped them to what was the best team in the league in 2011. He, along with a lot of other guys, melted down in the final against Boston, and they never quite got the job done. But so he's just another. He's like Richard Brodeur in '82 and Kirk McLean in '94. They got close, but not the cigar.
All right, speaking of close and not cigar, you're a big tennis fan.
I am.
The professional tennis season is underway, pretty much. It's starting with a weird sort of exhibition tournament that happens in Australia every year called the Hopman Cup. It's a kind of a team tournament, a bit of a gimmick. But Vasek Pospisil, of course, from Vancouver, and Eugenie Bouchard are representing Canada. Last year was massive for Canadian tennis. Can they actually take it a step further this year?
Well, I think a couple of the guys can. I don't know about Bouchard. That's asking a lot. And the same with Raonic. I don't know whether the old guys are willing to, the Federers and Nadals and Djokovic's are willing to surrender the mantle. They will one day. Nadal lost early in Australia this year, so that's not a good sign for him. And, obviously Federer is going to fade. So there is going to be room for Dimitrov and Raonic and these guys to move into those top circles to try and challenge Djokovic as the #1 player in the world. And right now, he's clearly the #1 player. But what I'd like to see from Pospisil is him starting to get a little more consistent. He's off to a great start. The win over John Isner was a really big confidence booster for him right away. But I think for Vasek to make a real strong move, he's got to change his coach. He doesn't want to do that. They're good friends. But I think before we see a significant upgrade in Vasek's play, he's going to have to move on and find somebody a little bit better.
All right, well, you and I will talk about tennis closer to when Davis Cup is here in March. Of course, Canada will host Japan at UBC. And of course, you can read Tony's column on the Maple Leafs at provincesports.com. And on Thursday night, Tony will be reporting from Roberto Luongo's return to Rogers Arena. Thanks very much.